Alright, I'm going to go over UVing this ostrich and putting a texture on it real quick. Alright, so I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can. So I'm just going to run through this really quick and hopefully explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So yeah, I'm just going to start UVing this. Basically, when you're UVing something, you're trying to take your 3D model and unwrap it into 2D so that you can paint a texture on that. And basically, the way I start, if you're not using Maya, I'm not sure exactly how to do all of this stuff, but this is just a basic workflow anyway, and I'm sure if you can follow the basic workflow and figure out the specifics in whatever 3D program you're using. So actually, first let me do this. Let me separate this so that the eyes aren't part of the same mesh. And this is what the UVs look like right now. And how I start, I usually just do a camera-based UV. So I just get the model in there, and I have like just the shape of it. And then you want to go in and start breaking up the model into basic shapes, pretty much. So like the legs, the wings, and the neck, those are all just cylinders that have been modified. So I'll go in here, I'll select the edges where I want to cut it, and I'm going to do it right here. You can see the star joints right here that kind of mark where the leg has been attached. I'm just going to go around here and select all these edges where the leg has been attached, and I'm going to do the same for the other side. And I'm also going to do it down here at the ankle because I want to separate the leg from the foot. And get this one right here. So I have those edges selected, and those are the edges that I want to cut. So I'm going to go here, cut UV edges, and now you can see that I have a leg, the rest of the body, and 2 feet. And I'm just going to keep on going through this model and cutting it up into the pieces that I want. And then after that, I will show how to go about laying out the UV. So on this foot, I'm going to need this bottom part of the foot cut off, and I'll show why later. But I'm going to need the foot cut in half, basically, so that the bottom of the foot is separate from the top of the foot. And then I also need, I'll actually get back to that later. That'll be more evident once I get to unfolding. Now I'm going to cut off these wings, and then I'll cut off the neck after that. And this isn't actually cutting the geometry, it's only cutting the UVs, which are basically like verts. They're in the same place as all the verts, but all they do is they're basically like coordinates for your texture. They tell it where to hang out. So you can see I can pull it all apart in here. This is just UVs and nothing happens to the model. And now I'm also going to cut off the neck right here. Yeah, let me center my camera. There we go. Move this over here. Oops. There's an edge that we didn't want to cut. I'm going to have to put that back together in a second. Let me just cut this. Cut UV edges. And there's a hole in the geometry right here. I'm not sure why. I'm just going to sew that back together in the UVs. And then I'll also fix it in here. There we go. And apparently it didn't sew back together. Let me get that. Pulling on. Sew UV edges. There we go. Alright. I don't know where that came from. I wonder if I made that. Anyway, let's see here. I cut the neck. Now I'm going to cut the head off as well. Decapitation. Waha. Alright. So select that right there. Cut the head, and then there's a couple more cuts I'm going to make on the head, but I'll get to those in a second. So let me show you what I have here. I have 2 legs, 2 wings, 2 feet, and 2 bottom of feet. And then we have the body, neck, and head. So now I want to start unfolding everything to get it to lay out flat. And you want to try to hide yeah, everywhere you cut will make a seam in the texture, so you kind of want to try to hide the long ones in places that aren't as visible. So basically this leg is like a cylinder, so if I cut down one seam in the cylinder, it'll unwrap into like a rectangle shape. If it was a perfect cylinder, it would. This won't unwrap into a rectangle, but it'll be sort of a rectangle shape. We'll start with this leg. So I'm going to cut it on the inside here, sort of like an inseam on your pants. And that way I'll be able to unwrap it. Let me go back to edges, and I'll just select one that's kind of in the middle. Doesn't have to be the exact middle. And we'll just follow this down here and keep on selecting this edge all the way down until we get to the place where we, oops, selected the whole thing. Didn't want to do that. Just like that. And here. Deselect that. And I'm just going to select this all the way down to where I cut it at the ankle. Then I'll cut UV edges again. And now if you look over here in my UVs, you can see that if I select all this, I can unfold it. Can't wait for it to do that. And there you go. Now I have the leg all unwrapped. And if I turn on the checker texture, it's just like a basic texture that you throw on stuff. People use checkers because you can tell if the squares are stretched out more easily. See, if I look at something like right here on the neck that I haven't unfolded, you can see that it has all these stretches. There's a little bit on the wings. There's going to be some on the head too, right up here, and on the body right there. But over here on this leg that I just UV'd, there's no stretching on there. But there is a seam right here. You can see where it doesn't have the purple continuing over it. Immediately switches to the green, and that's not the same as this part where, if you look right here, let me just move this into one area. There you go. So now it's not crossing over into the different squares. And you can see that all the texture is fine, except for right here where I cut it, and that's what a texture seam is. So you want to try to hide those as best you can. But yeah, I'm just going to go through here and cut up all these other shells that I made. So I'll cut this leg open. Let's get this edge. Like this. This model has pretty nice topology, so this is why I gotta follow this edge around instead of just clicking it. If the topology was a little different, it would let me. I would be able to select this a little easier. It's not bad how it is. It's actually pretty good, but it's like too good ish. You can't really have too good of topology, but if that was a thing, then it just makes it a little take a little longer to select stuff. But that's fine. It's not a problem. And there we go. Have this leg unfolded. And it doesn't, you can see it unfolded smaller than this leg. That's not really a problem. We'll resize stuff later. And now we'll go to the feet, and you'll see why I cut the bottoms off. It's because we can unfold the bottom, so that lays out flat. And then this is another bottom. We'll unfold that one. There you go. And now, so we cut off this section. You can see the part that's selected right here. Let me frame that up. So we cut this off, all this bottom part, and then right here on the back at the ankle, I'll put a cut right there, and also one on the other side, up there, up to the point where we cut the leg off, and I'll also cut those. Did I do it? Yes, I did. Okay. And now these are these two sections right here and right here are the top of the feet. And since I put a cut along the back of the ankle and it doesn't have anything closing it off on the bottom, it will unfold nicely, right like that. This is it right here. This is the big toe, little toe, and this part wraps around the back. And where it's split right there is where we just cut it. So do the same thing for this one. And also I can optimize it. Nah, didn't really do very much. Whatever. And now I'll do the wings. they'll pretty much be like the legs. I'll just make a cut all the way along the inside. Select the edge that's in the middle, basically, here. And go to edge mode. And I'll just get this middle edge and follow it all the way down here. Go all the way down the wing to the point where it got cut at the shoulder. Right here. And we'll cut that. And do the same thing on the other side. And this will let the wings unwrap like a cylinder as well. And this is basically, if you were using a person, this is basically the same way you would do it. You cut off the arms, cut off the legs, cut the feet up the way I did, you cut off the bottom of it, and you would cut the torso in half at the shoulders. So you would have a front and a back of a torso, sort of like a chest plate and a back plate. And I'll show you the face for this will be a little bit different. The head will be a little bit different than a person's face. A person's face, you just pretty much put a cut from the base of the neck in the back all the way up to the top. You don't go all the way through, just up to the top. And here's the unfolded wings. This is what they look like. And get to the, we'll do the body. And what was I saying? Oh yeah. So that just lets the whole head unwrap, and basically you'll have the face laying flat, and the sides will be sticking out to the side of the flat face. And we'll do sort of the same thing on this, but since it has the bill, I'll need to make that separate. So I'm going to have to cut the bill off and do some stuff for the inside of the mouth, and then do the head separately. And for the body, I'm just going to cut this in half, so we'll have two sections to that. Cut those. Now we have two halves of the body. I'll unfold these. And there you go. They look like that. There's the part where we cut off the leg, and this is where we cut off the wing. And then this line right here is where we cut off the neck. And same thing for this one. And now we'll do the neck, and as you can see, it's just a cylinder that is bent, so it's the same thing as before. I'm going to, I'll cut it on the front. You can do front or back, it doesn't really matter. It's just trying to pick the one that might be seen less, but I have no idea what this would be used for. So you just pick one and go with it. Oops, wrong thing. Cut UV edges, and now we'll get this and unfold. And there you go. This is the neck all laid out, and now we're onto the head. This will be pretty simple. Basically, if this was a human face, it wouldn't have all this geometry going out here, and that kind of messes up how it works. So I just need to cut the whole bill off right here. Let's cut it off right here. Make sure I got the inside. Go creep around inside its mouth. Where did I cut it? I can't even tell where I am. Oh, there it is. Alright. Right there. So right here. Is that right? Yeah. Alright. So these two cuts are just to get the bill off. As I said, you can see right there, there's the front, or there's the top, there's the bottom, and then I also need to cut the inside of the mouth off right here. We'll just cut from here to here, and then from here to here. And I'll make those cuts. Now I have the top outside of the bill, the top inside, bottom outside, and bottom inside. And now we just have the head left to lay out. And for this, this is the part I was talking about where how you would do it on like a human or something. You just start at the base of the neck and go up to the top where it flat. You can see right here where the geometry switches around and you get these star joints and stuff right here. I'll just cut up to that line that lines up with star joints, and that's basically where the top of the head starts. So you just have a cut going all the way up the back. I'll cut that. Select this and unfold it, and there you go. This is how it lays out. So you can see the star joint right here and right here. Those ones were at the top of the head. So right here where it's split is the cut that we made. This is the top of the head. This is where the eyes are. And here's the two spots where we cut off the bill. And actually I missed one. I need to cut this right here. Let me go do that. I need to make a cut right here. Under there. Cut UV edges. And lay this out again. And this part will open up right here. And there we go. Now this is laid out better. It was, if you saw before, it was, let me see here. Go back. Alright, so let's see here. Let's look at the checker pattern. You can see right here where it starts kind of stretching and wrapping around down here because it's still connected right here. Now if I go forward, and now that it's cut and spread out, you can see the checkers are more checkered instead of bending around the mouth. So you want to make sure you're getting stuff as unfolded as you can without cutting it up unnecessarily. But yeah, that's basically it. These are all the shells that you would use. And now you need to lay them out because texture space is only read in 0 to 1 space. If you ever hear anybody saying that, if you look right here, it's marked like a grid in geometry or algebra. Starting right at the center is 0, goes out to 1, -1, -1, and 1 up here. So 0 to 1 and 0 to 1, this square right here is 0 to 1 space, and this is where your texture gets read from. Anything outside of there, there's still texture there, as you can see. Whenever I put something out here, it like populates the texture out there. It'll still read texture that's out there, but it'll be a repeat of what it's ever in 0 to 1 space. So basically it will tile your texture forever. So anything out there will get a copy of the texture on it. So like if this was right here, it would have part of the texture right here, but then it would have a copy of whatever part of the texture is over here would be right here, and it wouldn't look right. So when you're doing stuff like this, where you want to like texture a whole character or one thing, basically you just want to keep your UVs in 0 to 1 space. And you don't necessarily need to, actually, never mind, ignore that. That'll make stuff too complicated. I'm just going to lay this out. And for this, just to get a head start on it, I'm just going to select all of these and hit the nice little layout button. There you go, and it packs everything down in there. And you can see it did a pretty good job, but there's a lot of wasted space right here, a lot of wasted space up here, and you want to try to use up as much of the 0 to 1 space as you can, because this is basically how big your texture will be. And if I'm scrunching all this down to this little corner, that means I have to zoom in really tight, paint a really small texture there, and it will lack a lot of detail. So you want to use as much space as you can. So I'm going to rearrange these a little bit. I'll move these up here. Let me flip this around here. Actually, it was fine how it was. We'll just move this over here and put this one here. This one here. Flip this around. And actually, I want to make sure these are pretty much the same size, since they're both halves of the same body. Let me scale this just a little bit. Get it till it's pretty much the same size. And we'll put this over here. And I'll worry, you can see it's hanging out of the 0 to 1 space right there. I'll worry about getting that back in a second. Basically, parts that are the same, you want to get to be the same size. So these wings are a little bit different in size. There we go, it's pretty close. I'm just going to drag these off to the side here so I have some room to work. The legs have different sizes, like that. Yep, about that. Alright. Now, let me get this all laid out. I'll put this right here. Pack it in as close as I can. Make sure we have room for everything. And let's see here. Oh, I don't think I laid out the pieces to the mouth. I did not. You can see they're all kind of askewed, and actually there's an option in Maya that lets you click this, and if it's blue, that means it's facing the right way. If it's red, that means it's not. So you can see right here, you can see some red there. You shouldn't be able to see any red or purple. Purple would be blue and red together, which means you have faces on top of each other and some of them are facing the wrong way. So turning on that option will let you see that you have stuff that isn't laid out properly. So I just forgot to unfold these. So we'll do that real quick. Here we go. So here's all the parts of the mouth. This one's the inside, this one's the inside, and these two are the outside, top and bottom. So actually I'm just going to throw these in here, these little holes, just like that. And put this one, come on. Alright. There we go. I'll scale this down a little bit. For this texture, I'm not too worried about keeping the shells all the right size because I'm not really going to be painting a very complicated texture on here, like just some basic color or something to show how it looks. But actually, let's switch that out. Put this one down here and this one up there. Yeah, this is basically what you do once you have all your shells cut up. You're just kind of building a little puzzle, getting everything to fit together inside the 0 to 1 space. Use this tool. And I'll put the legs over here. This one here. These might be scaled up a little bit too much. That there. Maybe not. We'll see in a second, as soon as I get this other leg in the right spot. It's fine, we can work with that. Just rotate this a little bit. Put it right there. There we go. And do the wings next. And these are actually a little bit too big. I'm going to scale these down. Just because, well, actually they are that long, aren't they? Let me take a look at this. Yeah, they kind of are that long. Okay, never mind. I'll leave them. I was going to say their size looked a little too big in comparison to everything else. And actually they might be. I will scale them down a little bit. About like that. Put this one here. And flip this one the other way around because they're flared out at the bottom. So putting them upside down to each other lets you fit them in a little closer, which isn't, I don't really need to worry about it too much because I have plenty of room, so you can see. But it's just a little trick. If you have two pieces, like I did it with the legs right here and with the wings right there, it just helps them fit closer together if you need them to. There's the neck, and we'll get the head. Put that right here. And the feet. And these will all just fit right in here. Here's the bottom of the feet right here. Rotate that a little bit. Right there. And the top of the feet. And this one is obviously smaller than this one, so we'll scale this one up until it's about the same size. Rotate that a little bit. And put that right here. And this one right here. So now you have all your UVs laid out in 0 to 1 space. And you can see on the model over here, There we go. Everything is nicely textured. It's not the actual texture, but it's the little checkerboard texture that helps us see what's going on. You can see there's not any stretching anymore. There was some right here on the back that's gone. The stuff on the top of the head is gone. Everything is pretty much nicely square. Some of them are a little warped, but it's fine. As long as they're not stretched out too much. And most of the squares on all the different parts are relatively the same size. That's another thing you want to pay. That's how you know that your stuff is scaled correctly. Is if if this had huge squares on it and then this one had the little squares, then you would need to adjust the relative scale to each other. But they're all pretty much the same size, so we're good. So now, if you want to actually make a texture for this, oops, and I need to select this, or else you won't be able to see the UVs for it. If you actually want to make a texture for this, what you need to do is make a UV snapshot. This is what this is called, and it's this button right down here in Maya. You just click that, and this lets you select the size. I usually do 2048 by 2048, but another common size is 1024, and let me put this back. 1024 is the next size down, and then 512 by 512. And I'm going to anti-alias lines. I'm just going to render out a JPEG because I'm not using this for anything fancy, so I don't need a bigger file type. And I'm going to name it here Ostrich UVs. There we go. That's what I'll call this, and save that out. And there we go. So we're done UVing it, and now I'll go make a really quick texture for it just so you can see how that looks. If I go into the images folder right here, where I just saved those UVs to, you can see this is the picture that we just made. It's black everywhere and then white lines where your UVs are, and this will help. Ooh, those are overlapping right there. I need to go fix that. The leg is overlapping the side of the body. But yeah, you just use this as kind of like a, I don't know, I guess a lookup table, so you know where to paint your texture. And come on. Oh right, I'm not in UV mode. There we go. Let me rotate this a little bit so it's a little farther away. There we go. Alright. Make another UV snapshot with the correct UVs. UV snapshot. And overwrite that one. Okay. Yes, there we go. Alright. Now, there you go. So, we'll go to Photoshop and paint a really quick texture for this. There we go. Alright. So, in Photoshop, we'll just bring in those UVs that we just made. And just using this as a template, I'll make another layer under it right here. I'll set the UV layer from normal. I'll set the mode to screen. And then I will, let's see, let me zoom in on this a little bit. I'm gonna first make a mask. So I get the magic wand, select the black area, and then get these other black areas inside here, here, and here. And now I'm going to Command-Shift-I to invert the selection so it's selecting around all the UVs. And now I'll go down to this layer that I just made and make a mask for it. So now I can only paint inside the area where the UVs are. And if I get, let's see, let's get a pinkish color. We'll use this for the skin. Why is it staying grayscale? It's on color. That is weird. Is it painting pink? It's screen. This is normal. Go here. Paint here. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think. Oh, yeah, that's what happened. All right, let me go back in the history a little bit. I was painting on the mask instead of actually on the layer. I still had the mask selected. So anyway, here we go. Get my little pinkish color. I don't know. I think ostriches are pink. I haven't seen one in a long time, but I think their skin is pink. So we'll go here, and oh my goodness, this is like a really vibrant pink. Much more vibrant than I want. Let's get skin tone. Well, you know what? We'll stick with the pink for right now, and then we'll go over it with the skin tone. Oh goodness, I'm gonna get carried away with this, trying to make it look better than I need to for demonstration purposes. Yeah, actually, you know, we'll just make a weird colored ostrich. He will be pink and neon green. His body will be neon green. So I'm just filling in the areas. These are the wings, if you remember. This is the neck. These are the bottom of the feet right here. And this is the top of the feet. And these are the legs. I'm going to make my brush a little bigger so I can do this faster. There we go. And this is the head. And then we need to do the inside of the mouth, which is this one and this one. And since the outside is a bill, we can make that a different color. And it doesn't matter that I paint over that, I'll just paint over that. We'll make the bill orange. So here's the, I believe this is the bottom of the bill, and this one is the top. Might be the other way around. Yeah, I think this one is the top, or the bottom. And actually, we'll do something down here. Let me turn down the hardness on the brush. Since the bill connects to, oh, you know what? I forgot something. Something you need to do when you first make the mask. It'll have little black lines on it if you don't do this. Let me get the magic wand back out and select all the stuff that I selected at first. And when you select this, it's selecting right next to your UV line. So when you put this texture back on the model, it'll have a little black area right here from the black part because it's a little too close to your UVs, and it kind of bleeds in using this selection because it like selects on the white line instead of like right outside it. So you need to go to refine edge and just make your selection bigger by like a pixel, and then you can invert it, and we'll remake this mask. Delete that mask, go here, remake it, there we go. Now I should be able to paint a little farther out. Make sure I have the right color. Make my brush bigger, and whoop, painting on the mask again. There we go. And it's the wrong color. Oh, no worries. We'll just do this first, and here. And don't worry about the color going outside. We won't be able to see that in a little bit. As soon as I finish this, I'm just going to run over all of these just to make sure they get that little extra pixel that I put around the edge. And I might still have the black lines, I'm not sure, but if I do, just know that that's what you need to do. You need to make your selection just a little bit bigger, just like this layer, so that you can paint a little bit outside your UVs just to make sure you get everything covered. And now I'm going to take this color right here and go around these edges right here where it connects to the face, just so that the color bleeds into there. Give him some Cheeto lipstick. All around this edge, right there. Obviously all this is unnecessary because what did I say we were going to make him? Neon green? There we go. Make the body neon green. Like this here. Let me turn the hardness back up on this brush. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. Yeah. Got a little bit on the mouth there. He spilled his body paint onto his mouth. It was weird. See, you can see some of it right here. If I zoom in really close, you can see it's a little bit darker right here. That's going to be a line on the, yeah, there's going to be a few little dark spots on the texture when I'm done with this, just because the mask is preventing me from painting far enough out. But as I showed, you can easily fix that. Just instead of like expanding it by 1 pixel, maybe expand it by like 5 pixels or something. Just a little extra breathing room, basically, just to make sure you don't get any lines. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I go and put this on the model. Unless I just don't bother with it, but I will, because it's the proper way to paint a texture. Alright, so there's our texture. He's going to be a pink ostrich everywhere on the wings, on the face. His bill is going to be orange and his body will be green. And I'll turn off the lines here, because if you leave these on and save out this picture, you will have all these little, you'll have your wireframe baked into your texture. So now I'm going to select everything, see if it works. No, it doesn't want to work. Okay, that's fine. Magic wand again. Did it select everything? No. Alright. We're going to have to do it in the mask again. So, get the magic wand, go here, select, please. Oh, there it is. Alright. Wasn't showing my magic wand tool for a second. There we go. Select all this, and now I need to go here, delete the mask, and paint everything. Actually, let me refine this selection a little bit. We can actually fix the little problem that we have right here. Refine the edge, make it 5 pixels bigger, let's say. And now get the paint bucket and black and paint everything black. There we go. Just fill all this in. Actually, you can do this with a brush too, and it'll fill in everything around there. You want to make it all black because, let me just do this with the brush, just to make sure I get everything. You want to do this, make it all black, because even though you can't see the texture on the model, when you render it, Maya, or I assume any other 3D program, will still be reading the whole file. So black is basically nothing. So it doesn't use up any memory or whatever processing power reading this part of texture. It only reads what's actually going to be on the model. So that's why you do make everything black except for what you need to see. And now I will save this, and it will go into the images folder. We'll name this ostrich texture, and I'll save this as a targa. I usually do targas for textures just because it's a nice file. Save that, just do 24-bit, and there we go. Now you can see, here's my texture right there. And, oh, this is going kind of long. Alright, it doesn't matter, we're almost done. So now, I have my ostrich. I'm going to put a new material on it. It doesn't matter what material, as long as you can plug a file into it. I'm just going to do a Lambert, because that's just basic Maya material. And wait for this to load. Come on. Uh-oh. Did Maya freeze? Oh, there it goes. Alright. Yeah, it was lacking a little bit. Alright. This. Let me delete history, freeze transformations. Delete history. There we go. Alright. Now, in the texture, wherever this is in your texture, you need to look for the color, and I'm not sure how it works in other 3D programs, but in Maya, this is how you do it. You just go here, select the file. I want to put a file in, and now I can go browse to where I put my texture, which is right here. Open that, and wait for it to load in. Come on. Why is it? Oh, right. We need to turn on textures. There we go. And you can see the black lines I was talking about that are there from the edges not being out far enough. But yeah, there you go. Little weird looking ostrich. It looks silly. Anyway, and then you would just do the same thing with the eyes. Go texture those. Actually, you want to use, for the eyes, you would want to use an actual sphere, not a quadded sphere. We want one with this that has poles on it, which are these things right here. A pole is right here where all the verts, or all the edges meet in the middle, and you just put it like this. And you actually don't have to UV this really, it will work just as it is, and you can look up a tutorial on that. There's people that'll show you how to make good eye textures with just procedural textures. But yeah, basically that's it. That's how you UV and texture something with a really crappy texture. Anyway, yeah, hope that helps.